Do you know someone by the name of Israel Vasquez?
No, sir.
Okay. Um, on January the 5th of 2013, you told us before lunch that you called 911 when you heard about what happened at 708 Colonial Drive. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Could you explain to this jury why you felt the need to call 911 when you heard what happened there?
I called in just because I wasn't really sure what was going on 708, and since I had lived there, and also because precaution of my family, and since I got 2 kids now, and my sisters and brothers.
Okay, well, why was that a concern?
Just for the safety and stuff.
Okay. Were you scared that what happened there was actually meant for you?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you tell the investigators that?
Yes.
Since this has occurred back in January of 2013, have you received, or has anybody tried to take your life in this kind of fashion?
No, not that I know of.
Your 2 kids, do they actually live with you?
Yes, sir.
And how old are they at this point?
One is 2.5, and the other one's 9 months.
So at the time that the assault occurred back in December of 2012, were either of your children born at that point?
No, sir.
Thanks. I don't have anything further, Your Honor.
Cross-examination.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Mr. Gonzalez. I believe you said you were living on Green Pine Drive back in around December 4th of 2013?
Yes, sir.
Did you move from that residence at some point?
After the incident on December 4th, we did move.
You said you asked him 2013. Is it 12 or
Oh,
13?
I apologize. So I meant December of 2012 when the assault occurred. Did you move after that?
Yeah, after that, 2 weeks later.
Okay. So when the January homicides occurred, January 5th, you were not living at Green Pine Drive anymore, correct?
No, sir.
Okay. Now, you talked about Juan. He's your uncle, or just close?
Yeah, close.
Okay. What does he have a nickname?
Burger.
Okay. Burger, like a hamburger? Okay. So you've described how you pulled out and then backed up and then drove down and turned around, correct?
Yes, sir.
And the white pickup truck drove down and just pulled up beside you, is that right?
Yes, sir.
When it was coming down the hill, could you see inside the vehicle, kind of see how many heads or how many people were in the truck?
No, so only when they got side by side.
Okay. Do you remember actually saying that you thought maybe there were 5 or 6 people in the truck?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So did you feel like there were more than 2 people in the back seat?
I could have just suggested or think that it was around 5 people, 2 in the front and 3 in the back, but I wasn't sure.
Okay. I know you stated that when you pulled off, when your sister actually drove off, you said go, and she drove off. That's when you heard the shots, correct?
Yes, sir.
Prior to, well, let me just back up. When the truck pulled up beside your vehicle, Where was the driver door to the truck in relation to the driver's side of your vehicle? Were they side by side, or?
Yeah, you can say side by side.
So they were pretty close to side by side?
Yes, sir.
All right. And you said that someone was asking for Sancho, correct?
Yes, sir.
And did they continue to do that when they pulled up beside you?
Yeah, they were actually in the car.
They were still in the truck?
They were still in the truck calling out.
Okay. And I believe you said the driver opened his door and stepped sort of in between the door and the truck? Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And is that the person that Juan got in a discussion with initially?
Yeah, with the driver.
Okay. And I believe you said that was that the driver was asking where Sancho was. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And Juan was saying, why are you asking for Sancho?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
And so initially, the driver of the white truck, and you said Juan got out and shut the door.
Yes, sir.
Did they actually was there any blows between them during that first initial contact?
No, sir.
Okay. I believe you said someone came around from the back of the truck from the other side and walked up to the driver's side?
Yes, sir.
And that was Trigger? Person you knew to be Trigger?
No, sir.
Pardon?
Oh, what do you mean?
Was the person that came around, was that Trigger?
Oh, yes, sir. Or Trigger, because the one that was fighting with Juan or Berger, that was Trigger, and the one that had the gun, or at that time I didn't know who it was, but till all this I knew it was Moises.
Okay, so the person you know as Moises was the driver?
No, he was yeah, he was the driver one.
Okay. But Trigger came around, and Trigger and Juan are the ones that started fighting
Yes, sir.
initially? Okay. And so the driver, Moises, at that point, I believe you said, stuck the gun into the car?
Yeah, he was like, I guess, through the window, since it was down, he was just like pointing.
And what did he say when he was pointing the gun at you?
Now, at first he was looking at us and telling us, are you Sancho, or do you know Sancho is? And I didn't say nothing. I said no. And then they had.
Say no.
Huh?
Why did you say no?
Because obviously if they didn't know who I was, why would I just tell them yeah?
Okay. Were you concerned that something bad might happen to you?
I knew something was going to happen.
Okay. And so, at some point, while he's pointing the gun at you all, Trigger and Juan are fighting?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you see anyone else get out of the truck at this point?
No, sir.
Okay. I believe you said earlier on direct that you never saw anyone else out of the truck, only you saw the doors were open later when you
Yes, sir.
when you came back, correct?
Mm-hmm.
But you did see, I think you said you could see that there was definitely a person on the driver's side, the passenger seat behind the driver?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You could see them from
It was just like from the distance.
from your car?
Mm-hmm.
Before you pulled off?
No, when we were actually right there parked.
Okay, when you were parked.
Mhm.
Now, at some point, I think you said your sister climbed into the driver's seat,
Yes, sir.
and at that point, the person you described as Moises put the gun to her head?
Yes, sir.
And what did he say, if anything?
He just said where we were going and just reached in and turned off the car.
Okay, so he was basically saying you're not going anywhere?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, at some point, this gentleman you describe as Moises, he left? He took the gun off of y'all?
Yes, sir.
And went over to the fight?
Yes, sir.
Could you see what he was doing?
No, sir. I
Okay.
just knew that he just left and went back where the whole fighting was going on.
And I believe you described the fight as going on sort of in front of the truck?
Kind of in front of the truck beside the back of her tail.
Okay, somewhere, but in the road?
Yes, sir.
And at that point is when your sister drove off,
Yes, sir.
and I think at some point, did you stop at the top of the hill after you heard the shots, or did you just keep going?
We just kept going.
Okay. When you got back from your house, I believe is that when you, at the top of the hill, looked down and you saw the truck was still there?
Yes, sir.
And you said it looked like the doors were open?
The other 4 doors were open.
Okay. Do you remember what kind of doors the truck had?
You can open the front and the side ones instead of just open the front first and then open the sides, but you can open, I guess, all 4 of them at the same time if you wanted to.
Okay. Did the back doors open up like the front?
Yes, sir.
Or did they open up kind of in a different direction?
They open the same direction.
Okay, so they all open, the hinge is at the front of the door on all 4 doors?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did you, I believe you said that you did see Trigger with a gun, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did he have it out when he came around from behind the truck?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, I believe you testified that you had known Trigger for maybe a year or 2 prior to that day?
Yes, sir.
And at least you recall at one point that he came to your residence when you lived at the Colonial Drive address?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And that would have been back in 2011?
Yes, sir.
Do you, and I believe you told, do you remember talking to Investigator Barefoot, I think it was on January 6th, about what you knew?
No.
And I believe he talked to you about some other people that you might know that would be connected with Trigger?
Yes, sir.
You, and did you tell him that you knew Casper and Trigger knew each other, were friends?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you gave him several other names of people that associated with Trigger, is that correct? Some
Yes,
of
sir.
them were like street names?
Yes, sir.
Tweety and Speedy, do you remember giving those names?
Yeah, that's what yeah.
I think, Big Estilo, do you remember giving that name?
I'm not sure.
Not sure if I'm saying it right. Or Playboy, somebody with the street name of Playboy?
I didn't know of those nicknames.
Okay. How about Loke?
Yeah.
Okay. Who was Loke?
Trigger's brother.
All right. And you knew Loke to be involved in the gang as well?
Yeah, with his brother.
Do you know how many brothers Trigger has?
No, sir.
Okay. Or Loke? And I believe, do you remember describing to Investigator Barefoot that that Casper had actually shot at you with a rifle?
No.
Don't remember that?
No, sir.
Okay. Did you describe some, you remember describing some things that had been going on as far as the house where your mother was living, and I guess where you were living, the shots had been fired at that residence?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So there had been some problems between you and this group of people, is that right?
Yes, sir.
I think in one of those incidents, I think you said that someone threw gasoline and started the car on fire, your mother's car on fire, is that correct?
Oh, yes, sir.
Okay. And do you remember being asked if you had seen, well, let me just ask you, do you know if Trigger, had you ever seen Trigger with a gun?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What kind of gun had you seen him with?
A rifle.
Was it AK-47?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And had you seen these other people that you described, Speedy, Tweety, those folks with guns as well?
No, sir.
Do you know if Loke was in jail or prison at the time of the assault back on December 4th of 2012?
No, sir.
You don't know?
No.
Okay. Do you know if he was, do you remember talking to the investigator Barefoot about whether he was in custody at the time of the murders on January 5th?
No, sir.
Okay. Do you know if Trigger was in custody?
No, sir.
Back on January 5th, okay. All right. So when you came back to the scene, or you came back to where Juan was after the truck had left, you talked to Juan, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
I believe you testified earlier that he said that the driver had pistol whipped him?
Yeah, in the head.
Hit him in the head?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Did he tell you that the driver had shot him?
No, sir.
Okay. You don't remember that?
No.
Just, do you remember, or sorry, strike that. You said that where you were living, 868 Green Pine Drive, was pretty close to Colonial Drive, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Can you estimate, I think you said it was about a minute's drive?
For Colonial and Green Pine, it was just
Yeah.
like next door street.
Would you say it's,
It's like a second right there, and just
so a few blocks?
Green Pine's like this street is just like not even 1 minute next door.
But I understand, but I don't know what a minute, you mean like a mile? Or you mean, can you see one from the other? Can you
You can see like
estimate?
right there next street. It's just over.
Is it
next-
more than a football field?
No, sir.
Okay, so it's closer than a block?
Yeah.
Okay. Were you at home when it happened? Do you know if you were at home the evening that the murders occurred?
I was at home.
You were. Did you hear anything as far as gunshots that night?
I wasn't living there at that time when the murders.
Okay. You weren't living there at the time?
No, sir.
Okay. That's right, because you'd already moved.
Yes, sir.
All right. Were you living somewhere close by?
No, sir.
how far away were you living from Colonial Drive at the time of the murders?
Like half an hour, 30 minutes.
Okay. And were you living with the same folks you were living with at Green Pine, or
Just mom.
your mom?
Yeah, mom, brother and sisters.
Okay. Did you know if Trigger had sold guns to other people?
No, I'm not sure.
Do you remember Investigator Barefoot asking you that if Trigger was going to send someone to hurt you, who would it be?
I'm not sure.
You don't remember that question?
No, sir.
Do you remember, do you know, well, who would that, do you know who that would be?
No, sir.
Okay. Do you remember stating it would be Loke?
No.
You don't remember that? Okay. Mr. Gonzalez, I think, I recall Mr. Sachs asking you if you knew Jonathan Santillan. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
He asked you that, and you said no?
Yes, sir.
And he asked you if you knew Israel Vasquez? You remember him asking you that?
Yes, sir.
And I just want to make sure, when you say you don't know them, does that mean you've never seen them before? Or you
Usually just in school, but I really didn't talk to them or anything.
Okay. So when I ask you if you know them, let me ask you this. Have you ever met them, either one of them?
Yes, sir.
So you have talked to both of them?
No, sir.
Which one have you talked to?
Him.
Who?
Jonathan.
Okay. You have talked to Jonathan? And you said you met one of them at school. Was that Israel?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You never spoke with him?
No, sir.
All right. But you just knew that was his name?
I didn't even know his name at all.
Okay. But you had talked to Jonathan before?
It was just once.
Okay. Did y'all have any problems with each other?
No, I didn't even know him.
Okay. Thank you. That's all the questions I have.
Leave her at.
Yes. When was this that you had talked to the defendant before?
I guess way before all that had happened, I had seen him like in a gas station. I think it was a gas station. I'm not sure.
Okay. Do you know who he was with at the time?
No, sir. I think it was by himself, or I don't know.
Okay, so why were you talking to him then if he was just by himself?
Because I was with a friend, and that friend knew him.
And just so that we're clear, when you say Jonathan, are we talking about the defendant here in this courtroom?
Yes, sir.
And Israel, you said you actually Was there a nickname that you were known by?
¿Y usted, las personas lo conocían a usted por algún apodo a usted?
Sí, me pusieron apodo en el trabajo, me pusieron hamburger o hamburguesa.
Yes, they put a nickname on me at work, hamburger or hamburguesa.
Back on, or in, I should say, in December of 2012, where were you living at that time?
Allá por, o mejor dicho, en diciembre del 2012, ¿dónde usted estaba viviendo en aquel entonces?
868 Green Pine, right? 868 Green Pine.
868 Green Pine Drive.
And who lived there with you?
¿Y ahí quién vivía con usted?
La mamá de David, su novio de ella, sus dos hijas, David y otro niño, hermano menor de David.
The mom, David, her boyfriend, two daughters, and another child, the younger brother of David.
And who owned or rented that place where you were staying?
¿Y quién era el dueño o quién alquilaba el lugar donde usted se estaba quedando?
La mamá de David.
David's mother.
How long had you been living there by the time December of 2012 came?
¿Cuánto tiempo usted había estado viviendo ahí para cuando ya era diciembre del 2012?
Dependiendo, trabajaba afuera si regresaba a la casa.
I would work outside and I would return to the house.
How long had you been living there?
¿Cuánto tiempo usted había estado viviendo ahí?
4 años.
4 years.
On December the 4th of 2012, were you involved in an incident where you were injured?
El 4 de diciembre del 2012, ¿estuvo usted involucrado en un incidente donde usted salió lesionado?
Correcto.
That's right.
Who were you with at the time this happened?
¿Con quién estaba usted en el momento que esto ocurrió?
Con David en Celia. David en Celia.
With David and Celia.
And where were y'all coming from?
¿Y ustedes de dónde venían?
Yo acababa de llegar de la casa de trabajar. Iba llegando a mi casa de trabajar cuando todo pasó.
I was just arriving to my house. I was just arriving to my house from work when everything occurred.
Was this, do you know about what time of day this was?
¿Sabe esto? ¿Sabe a qué horas más o menos del día fue esto?
Como a las 7 de la tarde.
Around 7 in the afternoon.
Was it dark outside or was it light?
¿Estaba oscuro
Estaba
afuera
oscuro.
o estaba claro?
Estaba oscuro, es diciembre, es cuando se oscurece temprano.
It was dark. It was dark. It was December. That's when it goes dark early.
Mr. Hernandez, do you speak a little bit of English?
Señor Hernández, ¿usted habla un poquito de inglés?
Poquito.
A little.
Okay. And so, like we had before, I'm going to ask to make sure, even if you understand my question in English, make sure that you wait for the interpreter to finish asking you the question before answering, okay?
Como lo habíamos hecho antes, a pesar de que usted entienda mi pregunta un poquito, siempre espere que el intérprete termine de interpretar la pregunta antes de empezar a contestar mi pregunta.
Muy bien.
Very good.
Is Spanish your native language?
¿El español es su idioma de nacimiento?
Correcto.
That's right.
And are you more comfortable speaking in Spanish rather than English?
¿Y se siente usted más cómodo
Hablando
en español en vez del inglés?
Sí, prefiero el español que el inglés.
Yes, I prefer Spanish rather than English.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you got home from work, what were you all going to do?
Así que cuando usted llegó a la casa del trabajo, ¿qué era lo que ustedes iban a hacer?
Desde antes de que yo llegara a la casa, venía texteando con David en Celia. Me estaban diciendo
Since before I arrived to the house, I had been texting with David and Celia, and they were telling me
que iban a ir a lavar. Iban a ir a la lavandería.
I was going to come to the washateria.
And for what reason were you going to the washateria?
¿Y usted para qué iba a la lavandería?
A lavar mi ropa, a ayudarles a lavar la ropa y a comer algo.
To wash my clothes, to help them wash clothes, and to eat something.
How many of you all were going to the washateria?
¿Cuántos de ustedes iban a ir a la lavandería?
Incluyéndome a mí, 3 personas.
Including me, 3 persons.
Would that be you, David, and Celia?
¿Sería
Correcto.
usted David y Celia?
Correcto.
Correct, correct.
So what happened when you left to go to the washateria?
¿Y entonces qué fue lo que pasó cuando usted se fue para ir a la lavandería?
Yo iba manejando el carro,
I was driving the car.
iba saliendo del parqueadero.
I was leaving the parking lot.
Una troca se me puso enfrente.
A truck got in front of me.
Manejé de reversa hasta la avenida Old State.
I drove in reverse all the way to the Old State Avenue.
Enseguida está una calle, no recuerdo el nombre, está a menos de 1 minuto, ahí me di la vuelta.
Real quick, there was a street, which name I don't remember, and there I turned around
Porque pensé que eran unos amigos que me estaban jugando una broma.
because I thought it was some friends that were playing a joke on me.
Why did you think that?
¿Por qué pensó usted eso?
Porque ya me lo habían hecho otras ocasiones atrás.
Well, because they had already done that to me on prior occasions before.
Done what?
¿Hecho qué cosa?
Lo mismo, bloquearme el paso y andar jugando con el carro de ellos.
The same thing, blocking my way and them playing around with the car.
Could you hear, was anybody from, no, take that back, sorry.
Podía escuchar, había alguien, no, retiro lo dicho.
What kind of car did you see? What was this that was coming at you?
¿Qué tipo de carro vio usted? ¿Qué era lo que se le venía?
Una Tacoma, Toyota Tacoma, pickup, cabina y media, blanca.
It was a Tacoma, a Toyota Tacoma pickup, white, cab and a half.
Atrás, en la parte de atrás, cargaba 2x4 en otras cosas de frame.
On the back part, it was carrying 2x4s and other framing things.
Like house framing you're talking about?
Como lo que son los
Son
marcos para la
herramientas,
casa.
no, herramientas de trabajo.
No, work tools.
Was there anything said between the white truck and you before you started backing up?
¿Se intercambiaron o se dijeron algunas cosas entre la camioneta blanca y usted antes de que usted empezara a retroceder?
No.
No.
At the time that you left to go to the washateria, did you have the windows up or down in that vehicle?
En el momento que usted se fue para la lavandería, ¿usted tenía las ventanas para arriba o para abajo en ese vehículo?
Ni cerradas ni abiertas, estaban a la mitad.
They were neither open nor closed. They were halfway.
If you thought this might have been some friends playing with you, why didn't you stop there to see who it was?
Si usted pensó que estos pudieran haber sido algunos amigos que estaban jugando con usted, ¿por qué no paró ahí para ver quiénes eran?
Porque a veces nos acompañaban a la lavandería. Me acompañaban a mí, o los otros chavos a la lavandería en ocasiones.
Because sometimes they would accompany me and the other young men on occasions to the washateria.
When you backed up and got to Old Stage Road, could you tell where the truck was at that point?
Cuando usted retrocedió y llegó a Old Stage Road, ¿podía usted ver dónde estaba la camioneta en ese momento?
Frente de mí.
In front of me.
Were y'all's headlights were the headlights of the two vehicles pointing at each other?
Y los faros o luces delanteras de los dos vehículos estaban
Apuntándose
frente a frente.
Sí.
They were aiming at each other, face to face, yes.
And so that's, I think, I even heard front to front, is that right?
También escuché yo frente a frente, ¿es correcto? Yes.
After you got onto Old Stage Road, where did you go?
Después de que usted llegó a Old Stage Road, ¿para dónde se fue?
Una calle que está a menos de un minuto ahí, no me recuerdo el nombre.
To a street, which name I don't remember, that is about a minute from there.
And which way did you turn on that street?
¿Y en qué dirección usted viró en esa calle?
A punto de la pregunta, ¿en la calle de la Old State o en la otra calle donde me metí la segunda ocasión?
Regarding the question at Allstate or the other street in the second occasion?
The street that you turned off of Old Stage Road.
La calle a la que usted se metió viniendo de Old Stage Road.
Ok, no recuerdo el nombre de la calle.
Okay, I don't remember the name of the street.
That's okay. Which way did you turn on it?
Está bien, pero ¿en qué dirección usted dobló a esa
A
calle?
la izquierda está la calle.
The street is to the left.
Was there a hill on this street?
Sí.
Había una colina en esta calle. Yes, Your Honor, the interpreter requests that Your Honor re-instruct the witness to please wait till the question is interpreted into Spanish before answering. Su señoría, usted le pide a su señoría que le instruya al testigo que espere hasta que la pregunta sea interpretada antes de contestarla.
Ok. Disculpa, estoy un poco... Me tengo migraña.
I'm sorry, right now I have a migraine.
Okay.
Bien.
Just try to wait and listen for
Trate
the
de esperar
question,
la pregunta
and then for the
y luego
interpretation,
para la interpretación
and then you can give your
y
answer
luego puede dar su respuesta.
Ok.
in that order.
Ok, disculpa.
Okay, I'm sorry, en ese orden.
While we're there, did you used to get migraines before this assault occurred back in December of 2012?
Ahorita que estamos hablando de esto, ¿usted solía tener migrañas antes que ocurriera este asalto en diciembre del 2012?
No.
No.
And when did you start having these migraines?
¿Y cuándo usted empezó a tener estas migrañas?
Desde que caí en el hospital. Después del accidente.
After the accident, once I fell ill in the hospital.
Is this, are we talking about December of 2012 or something else?
¿Estamos hablando de diciembre del 2012 o de algún...
Diciembre
una cosa
4,
más?
diciembre 4 del 2012.
December 4, 2012.
So I think when I was asking if you remember this hill on the street you turned onto, is that correct?
Así que lo que creo que le estaba preguntando es que si usted se acuerda de esta colina, ahí a esa calle a la que usted se metió.
Sí.
Yes.
After you got over the hill, did that street end in another street that came across it?
Y usted, después de que pasó por encima de la colina, esa calle terminó en otra calle.
Hace una T.
It makes a T.
Me di la vuelta y no. Me di la vuelta y no.
I made a U-turn.
Is all that after you get over the hill?
Y todo eso después ocurre después de que usted pasa la colina.
Cuando me di la vuelta y no, ya no volví a subir la colina. Quedé abajo de la colina.
When I made that U-turn, I didn't go back up the hill. I stayed down below the hill.
What happened after you made the U-turn?
¿Qué fue lo que pasó después de que usted hizo la vuelta, no?
Yo me bajé del carro muy contento pensando que eran mis amigos.
I got out of the car very happy thinking it was my friends.
Then what?
¿Y luego qué?
Me acerqué a la ventana, me preguntaron que si yo era David, me espanté.
I got close to the window. They asked me if I was David, and I got spooked.
Why did you get spooked?
¿Por qué se espantó?
Porque nunca había visto a esas personas y por qué me hicieron eso, a mí no lo entendía.
Because I had never seen those persons, and why were they doing this to me? I couldn't understand it.
What were they doing to you?
¿Qué le estaban haciendo a usted?
Simplemente que por haberme bloqueado el camino, a mí, una persona normal o que no va a hacer eso. you know.
Just simply having blocked my way, a normal person is not going to do that.
How did they block your way?
¿Cómo le bloquearon el camino?
Cuando quise salir de la traila,
I'm sorry, ¿cómo?
Cuando quise salir de mi casa.
When I tried to leave my house, the trailer.
How about after you made the U-turn, did they block you in down there?
¿Y qué hay de después que usted hizo la vuelta en U? ¿Lo bloquearon ellos usted allá abajo?
No, quedaron los carros pasando, las luces de atrás quedaron con luces de atrás. Del carro que yo traía y la troca que ellos quedaron, las luces de atrás quedaron casi juntas.
The cars ended up such that the rear lights were facing the rear lights. Their truck and my car's rear's lights were facing each other.
This might be a good time for a second afternoon break. We need to swap interpreters. Members of the jury, it's about 3:35. I'm going to release you until 3:50. Please keep in mind the rules. Don't talk about this matter among yourselves or allow anyone to talk about it in your presence or form any opinions about anything that you've heard. Please leave your notebooks there in your chair and return to the jury room in 15 minutes. I'm going to ask everyone else in the courtroom to remain seated while the jury is excused.